Alright, what's up guys? I got a new toy. I've been looking for a small cabinet that sounds good. It's hard to find a small cabinet that sounds good. What I mean by sounds good is I could use it in my house and possibly use it on a gig. I bought a Trace Elliott 4x8 Elf. Good little cabinet. I was just missing of the higher end of the spectrum with the treble. Even though I use the amp and the bass to boost treble, it's more like a high mid type of treble. So to make the story short, I ended up with this. Mind you, it's 33 pounds. It is very light. It's small. It is a Bergantino 210. I've always wanted a Bergantino for a while. Finally, ended up buying. At the store, I won't say what store I bought it at, but just to leave the non-disrespect to, other companies. But I plugged them in. I plugged the same amp. It was the B amp from Bergantino, which is another thing that's on my bucket list. And I tried it with three different cabinets. No brands, but they're up in the same price range. Sure, if you're a bass player and you know about cabinets, they're in the same price range. Different size cones, same wattage, 400 watts. This one, to be a 210, for some reason gave me a lower register on the B string than another 210 from another brand and a 112 from Bergantino. So it could be the port, or it's just the overall combination of speaker and cabinet and the port being on the right bottom. I love this cabinet. I might not even use it to live situations. I have a 410, but if I end up getting rid of the 410, I'm probably gonna have a 112 if this isn't enough. I unfortunately play, if it does come across for me to play a gig with deaf musicians, that this might not be enough. They might say that they don't hear this. Let me grab my bass and plug it in. I'm using a Mark bass head. It is a Tube 800. And of course I'm going to use my Ken Smith. What I look for with my ear is a precise note, basically. With a 210, of course, you're not going to get the same type of low end capable from a 112 or a 15 or even an 18 subwoofer. Oh, hold on, I got to plug this in. I got to unplug the 410 and plug the 210. Alright, here we go. So I'm using the bass passive. Many of you know Ken Smith, down is active, up is passive. So there's no EQ on the bass at all. I'm starting the amp flat. Volume is all the way on the Smith. Of course, it's passive, so. The cabinet has a tweeter on the back. It is dead center. It's completely flat. So I'm going volume. I'm gonna go up like 4 volumes. Oh, and I had I had contour on the amp, so the contour is basically highs and lows boosting it and kind of lowers the mids. So now it's flat. This is flat, guys. This is flat. I just touched the bass. Completely flat. My gain. I'm gonna actually bring you to the amp so you guys know this is not. I'm not lying. Can I zoom in? I can't zoom in. All right. So I don't have. This is how much I actually have the volume right there. Let me actually play it. Mind you, this is completely flat with no EQ. This is what shocked me. The actual quality of the cabinet at flat is what I like. I don't like boosting and having to add a whole bunch of bass and etc. etc. It's like there's a dog fight outside. So flat is what I like, and of course it's a 210. So don't think you're gonna get these extreme lows. Of course, unless you boost it, the drivers will hold it. But look at my gain. If I boost the gain here and I hit the volume all the way on the Smith, it usually clips. So that's my gain, no EQ, and yes, these are center detent. They're in the middle. There's guys that actually take the knobs, flip it the other way, and when they have boosted, it looks half. But no, this is no EQ, halfway, and all the way. There's no tricks. I have the mix of the tube. I'm not a fan of that tube thing, but it's in the middle. If I want a solid punch, I go solid. If I want a wider note, mix it. So there's no tricks, there's no filters, everything's off. So that's the sound flat. That's what I look for. I'm not that bass player to have too much low, because you choke out the rest of the frequencies that you might need if, for example, you do slap. If you got too much bass on your EQ, when you slap, it's not gonna, doesn't interpret clearly, man. So I'm more of the low mids, not that low. I'm in the low mids, highs. That's my type of sound. So let me actually put it active and start adding EQ. I'm just gonna do open notes so you get a feel for. Use headphones if you're not already using them, or plug this into a car system or a house system. So I'm adding bass. That was bass all the way. Now I'm going bass back to the middle, mids all the way. It's very articulate. Very articulate. This is why they cost what they cost. Very articulate. And what I mean by articulate is if you have a lot of hand movement with your playing, it's probably going to interpret it the way you intend it to. Now I'm going to boost the treble all the way. I'm not even touching the amp. This is just a cabinet, and it is sitting on top of another cabinet. So if I put this on the floor to make contact with either the wood or whatever type of flooring it is, the sound will change. Most cases you gain a little low when you put the cabinet on the floor. But for clarity, the mids and the highs, definitely up top, you're gonna get, you know, a different sound. This is a short video just to, you know, demo this. The tweeter, the high frequency gain, it is exactly flat on the back, and I will show you. I didn't think it was gonna sound, maybe with the B amp it does sound better. It is a Bergantino product, but right now I don't have the Bergantino amp, so I'm using a Mark. And you can see the it's flat, so has 2 1/4-inch inputs and 2 Nutric, so you should be ready to roll with any type of connection your amp has. I like it. Like, again, I'm not that huge on the low, like those sub type of lows. I'm not big on that. I'd rather cut through the mix with low mids than try to cut through the mix with a low, with too much low. So this is my type of cabinet. I finally got it after a long time. They're not cheap, guys. They're not cheap, but quality-wise, sound-wise, if you have these anywhere near you, a store, Sam Ash, I believe, carries them. Maybe not around the whole United States. I'm not sure. This is in the United States, guys. So this, I like the quality. It's very clear. It's very clear. And of course, as a bass player, you want the note to actually interpret the way you play. So there's cabinets, like for example, let me plug the 410 and unplug this one, and it's a Harkey. Alright, mind you, I'm not covering it. It's right here. It is a 410. 410. Get used to that sound. Keep that in your head. I'm going to unplug the 410 and plug the 210. Listen to the difference in the quality of the note. By far, this one has much more clarity, and the tweeter is set flat. The tweeter on this one is set to the highest gain. There's two of them on the. It's a Harkey High Drive 410. Much more muffled. Maybe it's because it's on the floor. Don't think so, because that tweeter actually does have some good output. Overall, I love it, man. I love it. Can't go wrong. It's not cheap, like I told you guys. It's definitely not cheap. You're up in the $1,000. So, I tried this one. I tried a 112, which sounds good. Sounds good. Didn't convince me. I'm looking for something with my hands, my bass, and my cab. I mean, my amp. This one, I believe, was the best bet for now. Hopefully I don't need anything more than this for gigs. And mind you, I haven't touched the EQ on the amp, and the amp didn't clip with me adding bass. The speaker wasn't even, it barely moved. They're worth it. Definitely worth it. plug these in like I told you earlier. Plug these in next to other cabinets, and you gotta try to look for your sound. From the store, from the little bit I tried it, maybe like half hour, I believe this should do enough. And of course, I'm not trying to fill a stage. It's a monitor for me. That's it. It's a monitor. But the clearer you have your monitor coming at you, the easier you play. Especially when you have musicians that play hard next to you. That little clarity that you have, for example, between the clarity of this one and the 410, that little bit of clarity that you have could help you actually hear yourself better on the stage. So that was just bass info, bass talk, whatever, and demoing this Bergantino, which I just recently got. And so I could use this with the 115. My amp should be able to hold it. It's 400 watts, but it's a clear 400 watts, at least with this bass. Let me actually, give me a second. I'm gonna actually plug in a cheaper bass. That's less than half the quality. So this is a Michael Kelly, no offense, but it's not the same type of build. This is a jazz bass. So this has a complete different sound than that Ken Smith. The Smith is more of a modern, short, sharp type of sound. This is more of a wider jazz sound. It's a jazz bass. So we're gonna go same thing, same volume. Mind you, it does need a setup. I gotta move the neck. It's a little low over here. So it doesn't have the same amount of output with the Smith, but and it's flat. I'm gonna put it active and boost the bass. It probably doesn't interpret over the phone, but my walls are shaking. Mind you, it's a 210. It interprets what the bass sounds like. There's a lot of cabs that color your sound, a lot of amps that color your sound. To me, it's a flat response. To me, in my ear, I could be wrong. I don't try out too many cabs, but it's like a flat response with what you're playing. And you do want a flat response if you want accurate, interpretation of what your bass really sounds like. A lot of us buy basses for a specific sound. If you don't have that right type of amp and cabinet, it's a tough one. But yeah, I'll end the video. Bergantino 210. I love it. I'm actually, if I do enough research, I might even go for a 310. And it weighs a few more pounds. It's not that big of a difference. I'm looking for something light. This is very light, 33 pounds. What I mean by light is that you can pick it up with one hand. It's not heavy at all. It's not heavy. I can literally just walk like this with my gig bag in this hand, and that's it. Or the amp and the gig bag on my back. Not heavy. It's not a big cabinet either. It's not a huge cabinet. It's a little shorter than an average 410. It's not as wide. A 410 would probably be a little bit further back. It's slim. It's not a big cabinet, but you get good sound out of it. You do get good sound out of it. It actually shocks. You would think 400 watts is not going to be loud enough. It should be loud enough for a lot of applications. So, the video's too long. There goes my short review of the 210. I am not sponsored by Jim at all for this video. Just to get that clear. I paid this out of pocket. So, hope this helped you guys, and go get a Smith. These shits rock.